Ladies and gents, hello and welcome to ROG Pulse, the weekly show where we dive into all things tech and gaming. I was trying to talk a little bit too fast there. I'm excited because we're talking about GPUs today and how they are once again, or finally, a thing that you can purchase. I say once again, but really that has not been the case in the last couple of years. GPU availability has been abysmal. And that is
tough.
Slowly but
tough
surely,
there.
Yeah, getting better where we're seeing, a little bit more accessible prices and availability. But before we dive into that, Whitson, what's new? What's good?
I don't know. What day is it? I've had sick kids all week.
Oh, no.
It's been like a whole, I don't even know which way is up. Is the sun shining outside? Who knows?
You live in San Diego. It's always like sunny and nice and warm.
True.
I don't want to hear
It's
it.
actually 85 degrees today. My kids are outside playing in the pool, I think, their little kiddie pool. And it's March, babe, or it's April.
Okay.
See, I don't know what day it is.
I thought I was about to find out that you have like an in-ground pool, and I was like, all right, well, when San Diego Comic-Con rolls around, I'm coming over to your house. And
it's a goal. One day we'd like to have one, but not when the kids are like 5 and 3 years old.
The value's not there. Yeah. Plus, the danger is there.
It's very much more dangerous and much less value. Yeah. So maybe one day. We also have the beach, like right there.
That's true.
It's hard to beat that, yeah. The ultimate saltwater pool.
I'm more of a pool guy myself, but my kids love the beach.
I'm more of a mountain guy.
I don't like sand. It's all coarse and it
yeah,
gets
that's
everywhere.
right. You're Anakin. We knew this. Lane, what are you playing, my friend? What's your game right now?
I'm still trying to grind Red Dead.
Still on Red Dead. Okay.
But Dad made me a retro game box that I really desperately need to plug into the back of my TV and start playing some classic N64 and GameCube games. So
I can dig it.
That's goal
Lane
number
is
2
young when he calls
weekend.
N64 classic. Like, is that what like you were born with? You were like born with an N64 in your hand?
Yeah, that was like when I was 5 and we went to Costco and I finally begged the parents, can we get the console? It was the N64.
Like when I was 5, I had a NES.
I think we are at a point in time where 64 and PlayStation 1 can be considered classics.
No, I think you're right. I think they absolutely can.
Yeah.
It's just funny because I see this distinction in my friends where there's a very clear line drawn with people who have nostalgia for the games of their youth. One camp of people, it's all NES and SNES, and the other camp of people, it's all N64 and GameCube. And there's like no in between.
Oh.
It's
Does
really
original Xbox and PlayStation 2 come into that at all?
I think they're on that border where it's like, yeah, those are basically classics at this point. Because you go back and you try to play a PS2 game, it feels old. If
it's hard to plug into your TV and you can't easily play them via backwards compatibility, it's classic.
It's not even that. Just like going back and trying to play like the old God of War games, they just feel so clunky. They feel so bad. Control schemes, just like responsiveness, camera angles. They just feel really dated compared to like what we have now. There are games that I think are like that aged pretty well. Zone of the Enders is one that I went back and played. They actually re-released Zone of the Enders with VR support on PC. Which was
cool. I've never even heard of this game.
Zone of the Enders is a Hideo Kojima game. It's basically very fast-paced mechs, kind of like Gundams, hack and slash style game, but you're a mech. I'm a huge fan of this game. They made a horrible anime out of it. They made 2 games. There was supposed to be a Zone of the Enders 3. More than anything in the world, do I want Kojima Productions to get the rights to make Zone of the Enders 3 because Konami has those rights. But anyways, there are games that have aged better. But now that we're talking about retro games, I'm just going to inject this right here because I just saw this trailer, just perusing Reddit, and this is a new game that's literally has 64 in its title because they want to capture that 64-bit era where this is very Mario 64. It's very I see Banjo-Kazooie.
Banjo-Kazooie,
right?
Yeah,
that was
definitely
my first thought.
Banjo-Kazooie for sure.
I think it's just called Kiwi 64 or Super Kiwi 64.
This is very rare.
Yeah.
Rare 64 games.
Very like dawn of the 3D animation age.
Yep. It's funny because you see a lot of games these days that try and like hit that classic nostalgia, but none like this. There are very few games that are going for this era with this graphical style. So you have games like Yooka-Laylee that are kind of like spiritual successors to Banjo-Kazooie, but they have upgraded graphics. You don't see a lot of games go like, you know what? Let's go full 1995 with the graphics and just
flat textured wall.
Actually,
and
1995 is probably not right.
It's 64-bit. I mean, it's not that far off. It's probably more like 1998, but still.
Yeah.
Oh no, probably runs amazingly too.
1997 was when it came out in the No, that was Australia. Why doesn't this list the U.S.? 1996 in Japan. So.
Okay. So you were right in the ballpark. I mean,
they were developing these graphics in 1995.
God, even like the music on this video, like stream can hear it. It's just spot on.
That's pretty sweet. Lane, if you're playing classic games, I have to recommend Symphony of the Night. Which
I don't
that's
what
PlayStation 1.
Okay.
You can also play it on PS4 or PS5 if you have one of those. But it's of all the retro games that I have gone back to that I didn't play as a kid that I'm now playing as an adult, nothing has held up better or captured my heart and mind and soul more than Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Okay, I'll have to put
absolutely incredible
PlayStation emulator on it. I think I only have Nintendo.
All right, well, you can buy it for PS4 and PS5 for like $5.
Okay, but then you have to buy the PS5 too.
Oh, I wasn't sure if you had one.
I just realized.
What's up, Jake?
No, I was just gonna say the timer is totally way too long for. I did a normal play
always
timer.
Breaking the timer.
I know.
Oh,
I know.
Okay.
It was a full hour. I was like, oops.
Well, should we talk about the gaming news? Because there's the opposite of the gaming news. The gaming news that you just shared is the opposite of all the other gaming news that just came out this week, which is all having to do with Unreal Engine 5.
The future of gaming. And
dude. There wasn't actually a ton of news this week, but the few things that I did pick out were all related to Unreal Engine 5 because this is the hype right now. I am so hyped. The first is that if you guys remember the Matrix Awakens, it was kind of like a trailer / like gameplay demo, not like a game, but it was kind of like a demo. It was only available on consoles when it came out, but it was kind of this demo of what Unreal Engine 5 was going to be capable of, and it was crazy. And you can watch YouTube videos of it and stuff, but if you want to experience it for yourself and you don't have a console, it's finally available on PC, sort of. It's available on PC as like a pack for the development kit, but I believe some enterprising folks have turned it into a standalone download. So it doesn't have all the pieces that the console version had, but if you want to I think walk around the city and kind of see what Unreal Engine 5 games are going to look like and kind of be capable of, this is one of the bigger demos out there right now that's sort of playable. So I am pretty hyped, especially dude, this brings back memories of Enter the Matrix, which is just a clunk fest of a game that I loved when it came out. And this is just and that was actually, I upgraded my very first video card for that game because my dad's computer did not have the minimum spec for that game. And so I upgraded the video card myself. First hardware swap I ever did. The game still ran like garbage, square wheels and everything on the cars. And I loved every second of it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but apparently that was like a terrible port.
It was a terrible port. The Xbox version runs pretty decently.
I remembered it with very fond memories. It was fantastic. It was. I think it came out around the time that the Matrix Reloaded came out. Yes,
because the story took place parallel to the Matrix Reloaded. You played Niobe in the game, and it had all of these filmed scenes that were movie quality scenes that were filmed for the game that kind of showed her story alongside Neo. So it was a really cool addition if you were really into the Matrix, and kind of led into the Matrix 3. And then there was a Matrix Online game that took place afterwards. That's a whole interesting story.
So this demo has made me very hungry for a reimagining of that kind of story, being able to jump back in as a main character.
That would be cool. I don't know if they'll do it, but this demo is at least man, what a jump from then to now. It's got a death wish. We did not do a stream last night with Sasha.
No,
we're talking about GPUs this week. So Sasha's taking a break. Sasha actually has some stuff to do this week. He's doing some media.
They were also at a spring holiday. Headquarters was not even.
Oh yeah, that's
work.
right. Taiwan has some long holidays, and many of them. So
it's a good life.
Sasha wasn't around. It is. I guess so.
This is impressive as hell, though. Unreal Engine 5 is not only is it gorgeous and really powerful. There's a lot of tools that are going to make game design faster and in theory easier for developers, just the way that interacting with terrain, like you want to just have a character jump over an obstacle in front of you. Those animations are all like pre-rendered to extreme variances like we've never seen before. And they can adapt based on the body and I think there's weight thresholds you can set. Like there's just more tools for basically not simplifying, but speeding up game design essentially. And it's going to be really fun to see what is achieved with it, because this is damn good looking.
Right.
And
I was more excited about this demo than I was about the new Matrix movie,
which
like
was
this,
okay. But I mean,
this is
this
is like mind blowing. Like this is next level excitement.
Well, and the previous scene was perfect for showing off
totally.
It's a perfect tech demo. It's the traditional white warehouse scene from the Matrix where you can infinitely add as much as you want. It's gorgeous. I haven't watched this demo since it came out the first time. Yeah,
it's really, really cool. And so the other piece of this was that they announced this week that there is another Tomb Raider game coming, and it will be in Unreal Engine 5. And the Tomb Raider games, the rebooted games, have always been really great in terms of showing off new hardware features. Shadow of the Tomb Raider was the first to have one of the first games to have ray tracing. They've been great benchmarks and graphical showcases over the years. And so having the next one in Unreal Engine 5 is going to be a really awesome showcase of what this technology is capable of.
Absolutely.
So I'm really, really excited about that. It's going to be friggin' gorgeous, I'm sure.
Wonder what tomb she's going to raid this time, because she's been through so many and she blew them all up in spectacular fashion.
I never actually finished Shadow of the Tomb Raider, but I did enjoy those games. Rise of the Tomb Raider was the first game I played on an ultra-wide monitor, and I swear it gave me vertigo. Just like that scene where she's climbing up that big like telephone tower or whatever, like she climbs up to the top, and like on the ultra wide monitor you get this huge expanse of like, I was like, oh my god, I feel like I'm gonna fall.
Man, you need to get like a smaller display. You're getting vertigo, you get seasick from Sea of Thieves. Like
yeah
dude, my kid had a moon bounce at his birthday party this weekend, and he was like, come bounce with me, daddy. And so I get on and I bounced for about 30 seconds, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna hurl, I gotta get off this thing. And for like the next 30 seconds on ground, I was like just so wobbly because like I couldn't reorient myself with the earth, and I was like, man, I'm old as hell now.
Man,
you're playing with fire, living in an earthquake state. Good luck on the next one.
There's a lot of questions in chat asking about like new products and release dates and timelines. And guys, we don't really have any information to share on that front today. We are talking specifically about GPUs in the current state of availability and how it's getting better, and of course trying to educate people about just basically what the difference is between all the different GPUs that we make. There's a lot to offer. There's more than just the Tough and the Strix. We've got the KO, we've got the Dual, and much more. So we're going to be diving in to talk about exactly where those all land, what one is best for you, and
what's in stock right now.
Yeah, what's in stock. Well, at least in the US. We're going to talk about US in stock, because we can't.
I bought one.
Yeah.
Eric messaged me to say, hey, GPUs are like in stock. And I was like, yeah, I know. I just bought one. Like I beat him to it. It's coming today. I'm really sad that I don't have it here to unbox on stream, but I'm super pumped.
Which one did you buy?
The 3060 Ti KO.
Okay.
And I can talk more about why I did that when we get into this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, any other news we want to run through before we jump into our GPU discussion?
Well, not news, but there was an interesting comment. Where is it? Perfect Wisteria says, I felt the vertigo playing Assassin's Creed back in the day on a 32-inch tube TV. There's actually a really interesting reason for that. Fun fact time from the nerd in the middle. Especially back in the day.
I'm going to change your overlay to say the nerd in the middle.
When you would, like my dad used to always get like motion sick playing GoldenEye with us. And GoldenEye was like one of those really great examples of people feeling motion sick, because you'd play this split screen multiplayer and we were playing on small TVs. The less of your field of view that a game takes up, the harder your brain often has a time like orienting yourself. So you're more likely to get motion sick playing a game when you're playing on a small screen that's taking up a small portion of your field of view, because this is moving around like this, but the rest of the world is normal. Whereas if you play on a bigger screen and you're not playing split screen multiplayer, it's taking up more of your field of view and your brain feels a little bit more like you're there. This is a very overly simplistic explanation, but this is my understanding of the situation. And so that's actually why it's interesting that, yeah, you probably would have felt sick playing back in the day on a 32-inch tube TV.
I believe it. I believe it.
Stuff.
Playing Halo on a 4-person split screen was hard. It was very difficult.
Especially if you were playing on like a small TV. Like we had a small TV that we played video games on. My friends had like bigger TVs at their house, and it was not nearly as painful.
We had a 56-inch tube TV, and that thing weighed more than a tank.
That's huge.
Massive.
That's massive.
Absolutely.
I think we did too at some point, but yeah, I think my parents still have it because I don't know if they know how to get rid of it.
Was that like a rear projection where it's like as deep as it is wide?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Huge.
My parents still have a small Sony Trinitron in the kitchen, and I'm like, do you know how much retro gamers would pay for this?
Trinitrons?
Like there's some retro gamer in Detroit that would kill to have this TV in their living room, and I don't think my parents have turned it on in like years.
No, they should try to sell it like seriously, because like
they should.
When I worked for Major League Gaming, I helped organize our Smash Brothers tournaments that we did. We did a Melee tournament in 2014. That's the last time that we did that. But there was actually a group in Southern California that specifically collected Trinitrons. They're a group of smashers, and they provided like something like 68 Trinitrons to our event. Of course, we rented them.
Dude, that's crazy.
It's like it is a specialty thing, and those TVs were incredible back in the day.
They're incredible now if you're a retro gamer.
Well, yeah, that's true. There's
you want the authentic experience. Those are some of the best you can get, sort of like a PVM, which, I mean, I have more nerdy fun facts, but I'm going to stop.
Well, we can dive into our GPU discussion. So, Whitson, you just bought a 3060 Ti. What made you lean towards was it the KO you said? The 3060?
Yeah. Well, actually, I think it makes more sense to move down the product stack.
Okay.
Because honestly, the KO is first of all, the KO is one of those, we don't have as many of them. You may not find them in stock as much as you will like the Strix and the Tough. I think it's for a slightly more limited market, slightly more limited set of users. I think I'm going to argue, in my personal opinion, that most people should aim for the Strix. Okay, so let's pull up Newegg and see some of these that are actually in stock. I have a 3070 Strix in my main rig, and it is incredible. Okay, here's the thing, guys. I know that the Strix cards are a little bit more expensive. I know that they are really balls to the wall in terms of design and RGB and all this stuff. And a lot of people think like, oh, I don't know, do I need a card that big, or do I need a card that like costs a little bit more than this other 3080? No, you want the Strix. And here's why. That giant heatsink and those 3 fans make it cooler and quieter than any other card you will find. And that's with a really high overclock. So we put a factory overclock on most of our cards that we sell. The Strix line has the highest overclock. But despite the fact that it has the highest clocks, that big heatsink, and we're not talking like a quadruple slot heatsink, okay? This isn't like the Noctua edition or anything, which is also a sweet card. But that giant heatsink with all that surface area means that it has a lot more surface area to dissipate heat, and 3 fans instead of 2 means that the fans don't have to spin as fast to dissipate that heat, which means they can spin slower, which means that they are quieter. And that is a huge, huge deal. Even if you game with headphones, I don't want to hear like a screaming fan coming from my computer through my headset while I'm gaming. So for that reason, I actually truly believe that these Strix cards are worth every single penny. And this is like going to be the line of cards that I buy from now on. Every card that I didn't buy that was Strix was a mistake.
I have been using Strix cards exclusively for 8 years, I think, way before I joined ASUS. Like, I just find that these cards have the best, like you said, noise levels, and the thermals are incredible. And but one thing I just want to point out when we're talking about this buying guide, everyone's machine is going to be a little bit different. And one thing that I found when I first got a 30 series Strix card is it was too big for my previous case. So 12.53 inches. That is a very long graphics card, right? Where it's over a foot long. So do take that into consideration when you're shopping for a graphics card. If your case isn't going to accommodate that, some older cases will definitely not accommodate that. But I feel like, there's almost had to be a shift in design of PC cases in recent years. We're no longer having CD drives, right? We're no longer having hard drives, really. It's SSDs and M.2s, right? So before, all these cases had, different bays for those different components. And, those drive bays oftentimes were boxed out to have maybe more fans in the front. And so in some cases, that would be in the way of this 12.53 inch graphics card. So
there were even some cards back then that got in the way of those hard drive cages. So you had to take out the hard drive cages to fit. But now the problem is, because we don't use those hard drive cages and those optical drives, a lot of cases have shrunk, so they're shorter.
Yep.
And so it depends. A lot of them can still fit these GPUs. Like I have a buddy who has the Fractal Meshify. It's a pretty short case, and it can fit his 3080. But it does depend, for sure. And we'll talk about that a bit more in a bit. But if you can fit a Strix card in your case, worth every penny. Yeah. Jake, you have an LC. So some of our Strix cards, so you look at this one, it's got the triple fan, it's got lots of RGB, it's got this really sweet RGB strip on the edge that you'll see in a normal PC case. That's the other thing about the Strix line. It's very it has this very fierce design that is going to be the centerpiece of a build, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is not a card that fades into the background. This is a dope card. The lights are syncable with Aura Sync. The Strix line is pull no punches. No sacrifice, maximum performance, maximum cooling, et cetera, et cetera. Some Strix cards, the Strix LC cards, come with a built-in liquid cooler, and that's what you have in your case, right, Jake?
Has a built-in radiator that goes in the back, so you don't have any of the fans right there in the front. I've got my radiator mounted on the rear of my machine, and it looks gorgeous. Or I guess the right side, not rear. Rear the way I look at it. But it's something else. We can pull that up here in just 1 second.
Yeah.
And so just really quick,
ahead.
People are asking about the giveaway in chat, guys. As always, when we do the live streams, the giveaway is done exclusively through Twitch chat. So you need to go to twitch.tv/ASUSROG to take part. We'll be starting that giveaway in about 3 minutes. We do it via Marbles on stream, which again is only plugged in through our Twitch. But let me see if I have the LC page open right now.
Yeah. So I don't know if the LCs are in stock right now. I had one that we can show off a little bit later. So we have a 3090 Ti LC that you can that is not in stock yet, but keep an eye on it because it may come in soon. So yeah, it comes with 2 ARGB fans, a nice big radiator, and it's got a little fan on the GPU to cool the VRMs and stuff like that as well.
It's gorgeous. And the thing is about this, and that I just can't get enough of, is no matter how hard I push it, I play games in 4K. I pump the frame rate, to 144 when it can do it on the machines that I have, because my display can support that. And we're talking like 52 Celsius thermals, is the high end, which is really good, I feel.
Yeah, that's 30 degrees under TJ Maxx for those cards. Yeah. So you're not even close to.
So which basically means you're getting 100% of what that chip can do all the time, and It feels awesome.
Now we have some questions in chat. Shout A1 says, can you overclock it further yourself? So yes, we have a factory overclock on most of our cards, but you can still overclock them further yourself. You might have a little bit less overclocking headroom because we've done some of that work for you. And also keep in mind that, with GPU boost these days, it'll boost higher than even our factory overclock, but we're kind of pushing that baseline a little bit higher. So you don't have to if you don't want to, but you absolutely can. I've done it. You can also undervolt them if you want to try and squeeze out, some better temperatures and lower noise levels for the same level of performance. That's what a lot of people are doing now these days. The other thing that's cool about the Strix cards, and this will actually apply to a lot of the cards, is that these days they have a little switch on them. It's a dual BIOS switch. One of the switches, it'll say P, and the other one says Q. And what's cool about that is that if you switch to the P mode, it'll go for the highest factory overclock that we've set. And the Q mode will go for a slightly less high overclock for lower noise levels. So you can choose out of the box without having to do any tweaking. You just flip this switch back and forth whether you prefer absolute maximum performance or a little bit more on the quiet side. I know it's sacrilege, but I go Q. I'm big on silence, which is why I go Strix. So,
well, it's nice to have the option. I don't think I would use the quiet mode too often, but hey, it's cool to have the option.
The other consideration for Q is if thermals have ever been a problem with your system. Maybe you don't have as many case fans, your case is a little older, not as well ventilated. Q is a really quick and dirty way to keep temperatures a little bit lower as well.
Yep. And you can also download our GPU tweak software, and you can kind of adjust the fan curves and stuff like that with the software, overclock it that way, undervolt it that way. So you have a lot of leeway with stuff you can do. The other thing that the Strix cards have, a lot of them have are fan connect headers. So if you have case fans, like on my case, I actually have 2 fans on the bottom, 2 intake fans. And those don't really affect CPU temperatures very much, but they do affect GPU temperatures if I turn them up or down. So instead of having them ramp up or down based on the CPU temperature through my motherboard, I can plug those into the fan connect headers on my GPU, and with the GPU tweak software say, okay, when the GPU is under load, you can ramp these case fans up and keep the GPU cooler. That's a really, really cool feature of the Strix cards that is worth doing, because even if you have normal just front case fans, those bottom fans might affect GPU temperature more or whatever. So
I'm sitting here nodding because I absolutely wish I had that feature. I have not found a good way in the motherboard BIOS to adjust normal fan curves to react to GPU temp.
Yeah, you can't really. I mean, the nice thing is that like if you are mostly gaming on your system, like if CPU temperatures go up, it means GPU temperatures are too. So like they'll stay sort of in sync, but it's not quite the same because different games will tax one more than the other. And so it is nice to have that feature. It's not like, I don't know if I would go out and upgrade my GPU specifically for that, but I would definitely go for Strix over something that didn't have those headers if I were deciding on a new GPU, All right, we're going to start Marvels, then we're going to talk about some more.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about with GPUs, but we actually usually have more gaming news, then we do our giveaway, then we roll into our conversation.
So we're interrupting the main topic today.
There wasn't a whole lot of gaming news today, so
we had a couple of questions that we can talk about. We're doing this one. I don't know when the Strix G15 2022 is coming out yet. We do not have availability information.
A lot of stuff we're waiting on for launches, and people are asking about smartwatches. That doesn't exist. The contact lenses were an April Fool's joke, and no, we don't have any new ROG phone news either.
Someone asked if they should get a 3060 or a 3060 Ti. As someone who just bought a 3060 Ti, I have opinions. I think the Ti is better bang for your buck if you can fit it into your budget. It's a pretty solid jump over the 3060 is a great card. Don't get me wrong. And if you're playing at 1080p, the 3060 is probably all you need. But if you're playing at higher frame rates or you're playing at like 1440p and you can squeeze a little bit more out of the budget, the 30 Ti is a nice jump.
So just again, and I'll tell everyone on YouTube, you guys need to go to Twitch chat for the giveaways. Every week we announce this. The giveaways are done. They only work if you're in Twitch. Does not work on YouTube. So you need to type !play on Twitch chat. We're going to start in 30 seconds.
That said, I know you could always say like go higher. Well, if you have the money, just go for a 3070 or a 3080 or a 3090. But in terms of bang for your buck, I think the 3060 Ti is pretty darn good.
One caveat there that I would like to put in is what your upgrade timeline is. Some people like to upgrade every generation. Some people like to upgrade every other. Some people, this might be a first build. They don't really know when they want to upgrade.
Some people, like my friend, are still using 780s like savages.
Yeah. Some people
get this man a GPU.
are rolling long term. So that might factor into it as well. Are you going to be buying
longer you want to keep the card
in a year, in 2 years, in 5 years? And then you can kind of factor in how much you want to pay or what kind of performance targets you're looking for.
That's a great point. Yeah, if you're looking to upgrade in a year, maybe the 3060 is fine because you're just going to upgrade it again. 3060 Ti will last you a little bit longer. The good thing is you're talking about two really great GPUs, and they both have DLSS capabilities and ray tracing capabilities and he was saying that he's streaming, so they both have NVENC, the NVENC encoder, which is going to make streaming a whole lot easier because you're not going to have to put that load on your CPU.
I love that option.
It's so nice. It's such a game changer.
I was dabbling with streaming with a 970, and the hit that it gave my CPU, because there was no hardware encoding that I could find on the 970, was terrible. Like we're talking like half of the frame rates that I was used to.
Yep.
As soon as I went to 20 series and then 30 series with NVENC, we're talking like 5 to 10% depending on the game. It's huge.
Okay, the marbles race is underway.
Where we're going?
I don't know. We're lost. Is anyone up there already?
Oh, Jax Frost. You were just behind him. He's got a good lead.
That's the theme of
not anymore.
No.
Oh, fell all the way down right when he got to the top. Brutal.
Okay. Sun God and Blue Man.
Are we going for a Zen Garden with this one?
Maybe.
I don't know. There are lasers in it. Do you have lasers in your Zen Garden that
I think
burn
so.
you?
How else do you keep the garden gnomes out?
That's what draws all the lines in there for you.
Do these
That's
kill
how you
you?
get all the little circles. You don't use rakes. You just use lasers. Wow, those guys just blew right past the lasers.
Yeah, the lasers might murder.
Yeah, I assume that they murder.
Yep, they murder.
Oh, yeah.
I just got murdered. Sun God? Oh, you fell into the pot. What happens down there? You die?
Oh, that's brutal.
Oh, that's not the winning pot?
Oh,
no.
I don't think so. That's
Oh, there we go.
Spawn.
Spam.
Spam. Spam wins.
Brutal.
Spawn 4
Spam
EG.
wins. Spam always wins.
Congrats,
You
Spawn.
can never escape spam.
This is like a reset pad. I don't think it kills you. I think it sends you back up. Yeah, it sends you here. I see. So it gives you another shot.
Oh, it's a teleporter. Okay.
Yeah. Looks like a sand trap. I mean, I guess it kind of is.
It does look like a sand trap.
My buddies are all watching golf today. I got sand traps in my mind.
It's that time of year.
Golf season.
Golf season.
I think I've been golfing 4 times in my life. I like it. I'm bad at it.
I'm very bad at it.
I'm really good at slicing it. I can never stand straight on. I have to stand like 75 degrees off center.
And just assume that it's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very consistent.
We just
Oh,
got
the Masters are on? Is that why?
Yeah.
The Chung
I
Joyce
think
is
it
the
just
Masters
started
are on.
today. Yeah, Arano, we have a group chat on Discord, and he's like, I assume you've muted that chat by now. I've had that chat muted for a long time. I have too many Discord chats. Like there's just too many of them. I check in here and there, but yeah, gotta have that stuff muted. Come on, you guys can finish. We need the flames to come.
Man, I'm actually surprised at how many people made it to the finishing dish.
Oh, with the lasers?
Because it seemed like no, right here. Because it seems like everyone's just getting yeeted into the Sarlacc pit there. And I'm surprised how many people actually made it to the finish line.
Okay, Technoblast, can you do it?
Oh! Beautiful.
I don't know if he actually finished though.
Oh,
he did. He did.
Yeah, he did.
Technobeast. Anyways,
Technobeast.
Spawn, you got to claim your win though, man. If you don't
Wow,
claim,
where you at?
If you don't claim, then you don't win.
Tell us you're here in chat. Are we sure we didn't miss it?
It would be here. So we'll give you 30 seconds, and if you're not here,
Goes to someone else.
then it goes to Tib.
Come on, Spawn. Don't let us down. What you doing?
There he is.
There he is. All right.
Okay.
Homie.
All right. We've got the
All
race
right, guys.
logged.
So, Jake, if you go back to that 3080 Strix that I
Yeah,
had
give
there.
me 1 minute. I gotta log the win.
Oh, yeah. Go for it. Man, Spawn, congrats on being first to the finish line, but last minute on claiming it.
I know it was close. All right. So which card do you want to look at?
The 3080 Strix.
Okay.
The air-cooled one. I just wanted to point out that this is, in fact, in stock on Newegg right now.
Wait, for real?
So if you want
Are you
a
really?
3080, nay, the best 3080, you can actually buy one
So, and we're getting closer to that MSRP. Like, I feel like it's been getting consistently better.
Well, here's the thing to remember too. First of all, if you're looking on Newegg, guys, be sure to check the sold by Newegg box, not shipped by Newegg, sold by Newegg box when you search, if you want to get it from Newegg. There are third-party sellers that are selling them at the same price, but if you can get it from Newegg, then you're getting it straight from the authorized retailer. You don't necessarily, you have to look up resellers and do research if they're authorized resellers.
It's just like Amazon, where Amazon has all these other shops and vendors within Amazon, right? You don't actually.
This 3080 is available on Amazon as well, but I believe that's a third-party center and Micro Center. So I'll say this right now: if you have a Micro Center or another brick and mortar shop nearby, they're likely to have even more stock than Newegg does at this point. So go over there and look, because you may find even more than what we're going to show today. Here's the other thing: MSRP. I think a lot of people, because pricing has been so weird over the course of the pandemic, people look at the 3080. What the 3080's original MSRP was $699, but the Strix was never $699. The MSRP is the MSRP of like the Founders Edition cards. So remember that when you're comparing the prices to MSRP, you're not comparing it to NVIDIA's MSRP. You got to compare it to what the price of a top-end Strix card would be, which is usually a few $100s more. So the gap may not be as wide as you think. There's a reason that the Strix cards cost a little bit more, and it's because they're better.
Well, different capacitors. I mean, we put a lot of other, effort into the cooling.
They're very well built as well. But that big cooler is worth every penny, trust me.
Yeah, I think so.
So 3080s are in stock. If you want to step down in price, we also have a 3070 Ti Strix available on Newegg. You can grab one of those as well right now.
And that's $1,000, $999.99.
Yeah, that's a significant step down in price for still awesome performance.
So, and just kind of like looking at if you're kind of out of the GPU loop and you look at the past generation, a 2080 Ti is around the same power as a 3070. So that's like the top end of the previous generation. So a 3070 Ti is your first entry into beyond the past generation, right? So this is fairly future-proof. This is going to get you high frame rate, 1440p gaming, maybe 60 FPS 4K gaming with a lot of games. Probably not going to be getting 120 4K. But frankly, I have a 3080 Ti LC, and there are very few games where I can actively hit that 4K 144 hertz refresh rate actively without DLSS really being there and stuff. It's really.
But that's what DLSS is for. And honestly, even NVIDIA's image scaling at like 77% will get you pretty close in terms of getting more frame rates for a really similar image quality.
But a 3070 Ti is going to play just about anything you can imagine, right? And especially because like 1440p is what I think most people should be aiming for. If you're playing on a monitor, I think 1440p is where your money is best spent. And yeah, this is just a really great option.
All right, so let's move on. The next kind of product line we have for graphics cards is the tough gaming line. This is not ROG. I know this is an ROG show. Someone's gonna get mad at me, but we're talking about all ASUS cards today. I don't care.
Yeah,
I want to do a service to people. The tough cards are actually pretty similar to the Strix cards in a number of ways. They have a big cooler. They have triple fans. They have the dual BIOS switch that we talked about that lets you put it into the quiet or performance mode. So they're actually an incredible value for money because they're a little bit less expensive. However, they're not clocked quite as high. The heatsink is a little bit smaller, so the cooling, while great, is not as good as on the Strix cards. You're not going to get it as cool and quiet.
Yep.
And most importantly, there's a lot less RGB.
Yeah.
You have a little RGB logo kind of in the corner, but you don't have that huge, awesome, like in-your-face RGB strip. It's a little bit more of an understated design. They are absolute beasts. Excellent card, but it's not quite as balls to the wall as the Strix cards.
And I hate to say this, but this might be our most popular graphics card. While Strix is definitely like the flagship, I think
I don't
a
know if
lot
it's most popular.
well,
I would
a lot
say
of
that it's the
review
most off recommended.
a lot of reviewers really love this card because of how good it is and because it is slightly more affordable than a Strix, right?
And as a result, these are actually not as available as the Strix cards.
Yeah.
So you can get a tough 3080 right now, but right now on Newegg, when I checked this morning, it was only open box and bundles.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, both of those are still great ways to get a graphics card, mind you. I got my 3070 in a bundle. I got my 3060 Ti open box. So, get it if you got it, if you want to get it. But it's just not quite as available as the Strix cards, which are a little bit more widely available at this exact moment. Keep an eye on Newegg if you really want a tough card for one reason or another. Monitor it. You may see them pop in and out of stock over the coming weeks. Like, we're getting new stuff. It's coming in. We're in a brand new situation now. This is not like the rest of the pandemic where everything's going to be out of stock for months at a time.
Right.
I've seen stuff come in and out a fair amount over the past few weeks.
Consistently. And we're like, we just had that 25% price drop. We're starting to see the prices just get better in general. I could see it continue in that trend, which is great news. So there's no guarantee by any means. Prices could go back up. We don't know. It's the world we live in is one of instability, I suppose.
Yeah. So the same thing for the 3070 and the Ti variants. They're available, some of them, if you look open box or in bundles. But I didn't see today any single cards available. So get the Strix. It's available. The tough cards are great value. They're built really well, like we were talking about the Strix cards. Excellent capacitors, a manufacturing process that avoids human intervention as much as possible to have those clean solder joints and avoid human error. They go through this 144-hour validation process. There's a reason we call it tough. Like, we build them with durability and longevity in mind. But they have a little bit more of that understated design, and they don't have quite that absolute maximum performance and maximum cooling quietness.
Yeah.
But still very, very good.
I mean, the actual GPU is almost an inch shorter in length, and that's less, space for
that's a whole inch of heat sink you don't get.
But for some people that might be a plus because it might fit in their case better. For other people, that's just a little bit less space for cooling to be, dissipated in.
Luminaire makes a great point. All of these cards also have our 0 dB mode. So when they're not under load, the fans will turn off entirely and they'll be completely silent. So if you're just browsing the web or doing whatever or watching videos on YouTube, they won't spin up at all. They'll only really spin up when you're running a 3D game. I don't believe these are available to buy directly from the ASUS store at the moment. You can check, but I didn't see any today. Yeah. These are all that because stock is still somewhat limited. I think we're trying to get them out to retailers. That's just a guess. I should not speculate on stream, but we're looking at Newegg, Amazon, Micro Center. There are a couple cards that are like staples in Walmart, and you may have local brick and mortar stores too that have them. But I've mostly looked at what we're offering on our site when you go to the where to buy link. Newegg, Amazon, a lot of those typical. There's some at B&H Photo as well, which is a great place to buy from. Love B&H Photo.
That's my number one shop personally.
I usually buy from Newegg because their warehouse is 2 hours away, so it always gets to me next day.
Yeah, B&H is New York City, and that's super close to me.
So that's really close.
Same
to
reason.
You,
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so that's Strix and Tough. Both excellent cards. I mean, honestly, some of the best cards in the industry right now. Not even talking just ASUS, but like those are two of the best cards you can get for any given GPU. And we looked at 3080s and 3070s just now, but there are Strix and Tough 3060s and such as well.
Yep,
for sure. I don't know if I saw them in stock or not. I'd have to go check on that.
Okay. Yep.
But look, like I said, go look for yourself. I just kept the tab, like the search tab, open on my phone for a couple days, and literally a couple days later, the card I wanted was in stock. So keep an eye out. GameStop has some stuff. I don't know if they have our stuff though. So
I know they sell some of our stuff. I know they at least carry some of our peripherals and stuff. Well, I don't know if they have stock of our GPUs, but I do know that they sell ROG peripherals and some other stuff. So, yeah.
So let's briefly talk about the KO. This is what I bought. This is cool. So I think it's KO because it's knockout, right? Yep. But I think it's also I believe this was also
I was gonna say it
built
has
for
like
the Korean market.
Yeah, well, it has like a very fighting game vibe, like the
Yeah, it does.
text they use for the KO. It says KO win. I mean, it's just got a very I don't want to say kung fu, but I want to say like, let's say FGC, because we're talking about computer graphics cards here. Feels like fighting game community to me.
So this, someone said it's teeny. It's not teeny. I wouldn't call this teeny at all. It's still because we have teeny cards, and we'll show those off in a second.
Well,
trust me, this is not teeny.
Let's compare. It was 12.5 for the Strix, 11.7 I think was the tough 3080, and this is 10.82 inches. So it's really not that much smaller.
This is a 3070. So you got to compare apples to apples, but
true, but still.
But you're right. So here's the thing about the KO cards. First of all, I don't think these are quite as popular as Strix and Tough, which is fine because the Strix and Tough are better cards in terms of their cooling and performance. The KO cards are still overclocked. They still have actually very good cooling. They're fairly thick. I think they're like 2.7 slot cards, and you've got these great big Axial Tech fans on them. Those are really nice. They have these barrier rings that blow air like right onto the heatsink. But you can tell that the focus here is design and size. So we're heavy on the RGB. It might be hard to tell, but that bottom part is like silver and the top part is gold. Mm-hmm. And then you've got this RGB KO in the middle.
You can really tell there. Yeah,
works with OrSync. Yeah, that works well. So this is like a really unique stylized card. That like if you want a card that not a lot of other people are going to have in their builds and you want your build to like really stand out and look different, like this is a really cool card for that. The reason that I bought it is because of its size. So I know that I just said that Strix is the way to go because it has that amazing giant cooler, but I have two PCs. I have this machine right here that has a Strix card in it. That's a normal desktop. The mini ITX PC hooked up to my TV unfortunately does not have room for a Strix card because it's a very, very small case. I do love small form factor builds. And so if you cannot fit a Strix card, this is excellent because it is significantly larger than some of the really, really tiny cards you can find. So you still get really good cooling.
Right.
But it'll actually fit in the case. So that's why I got it. Also because it looks amazing.
I can't wait to get your
cool looking card.
I can't wait to get your personal review on it just because like I'm really interested in this. I really want to build a mini ITX for my home theater. But I'm really curious what the thermals are like, right? We know the Strix is nice and quiet. I'm spoiled by that, and I'm really interested how good the thermals are in this card comparatively.
So for the KO cards, these are going to be a little bit harder to find in stock. We do have a 3070 in stock right now at Newegg. We also make a 3060 and a 3060 Ti KO. I believe those are the only three cards, GPUs we make in KO right now. 3060s, I believe, are not in stock. There might be an open box one. I'm not sure. Those aren't going to be, I don't think you're going to find those as much as the other ones just because they're not like one of the mainline brand product lines. But they are awesome. I'm super excited. The thing about the dual, if you do have trouble with the cooling, I mean, you won't have trouble with the cooling. It'll cool great. But if it's a little bit louder than the Strix card and you want to turn it down, you can always adjust the fan curve yourself.
True.
Or you can undervolt them, which is what I have done in the past with other like dual fan solutions for mini ITX. Because those mini ITX cases can get hot. They're not always practical, but they are baller.
Lane, where do you land? You've been quiet. Where do you land on the GPU world? What is your preference?
So
there's one correct answer, Lane.
There is one correct answer, but I'm going to take a really long time to get there.
Okay.
I agree with Whitson. We'll start off with the conclusion. I think Strix is the place to be. When I was planning this build about 2 years ago, I had come from an ITX. So the idea was go as big as possible, get a full-size motherboard, get a full-size case, and do a custom liquid-cooled build. I quickly realized that I wasn't really interested in all the maintenance. So the idea was get an AIO GPU and get an AIO CPU cooler. Temperatures are great. The maintenance and taking care of them have not been. I'm super looking forward to going back to air-cooled. And it really sealed the deal when Dad showed me his 3090 Strix, which is the 3080 plus a couple of watts and plus a bunch more memory. So it's got a bunch of stuff to cool. It was running Star Citizen, which is a very GPU intensive game. And when I had the case open and my ear next to the card, I could hardly hear the fans.
Wow.
It's just a fantastic experience. So if it can do that for a 3090, then it can do that for an 80 series card, no problem. So as much as I love my current card, I'm definitely looking forward to going back to a big, beefy, air-cooled card for next gen. So Strix would be right where I land.
See, I haven't gotten to the liquid-cooled AIO maintenance problem yet. This is my first liquid-cooled.
You don't have a maintenance problem.
Okay, since it's
because it's an
AIO.
AIOs, I don't think are maintenance problems. Now, granted, they might not last as long as an air cooler, although there's some debate there, right? Because you have a lot of moving parts in an air cooler too, in the fans. The maintenance problem with water cooling comes in when you have a custom loop,
right? Which is why I've never done that.
I think for
because you actually, in order to take the card out, like if you're doing troubleshooting or you want to swap the card, like you can just take your card out and the tubes stay connected and it's all one unit.
Yeah.
If you have a custom setup, you have to undo the tubes and drain the loop a lot of times to take a card out and put a new one in testing or whatever.
That's rough.
It's really, I've done it. It's baller, but it is annoying, especially if you're the kind of person that swaps hardware a lot, which I had to do for my job. So, and you probably do too. AIOs don't really have any extra maintenance as far as I'm concerned. You got to like watch it and make sure that it keeps its liquid levels. Long term, you may have to replace it or do, but they shouldn't require any maintenance the way that a custom water.
I should clarify for stream. I turned mine into an AIO. So out of the box, it was an air-cooled card. It was my choice to put the AIO cooler on it.
I see.
I was responsible for unscrewing all the screws and repasting, and that gave.
So you have an
some
AIO water block from EK on yours? That's what you have?
It's the EVGA hybrid kit. So,
I thought you said it was an EK.
Sorry,
water block. Interesting. Okay, cool.
So I made those choices, and I think it was too stressful.
And you have to live with them now, instead of buying a liquid-cooled card, because that's annoying now, because now you still have the block that has to get. If you want to sell the card or whatever, you've got more
RMA the card.
To deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of taking apart stuff.
Okay. So there are two more product lines that are worth looking at here.
Okay. Dual?
Yes, the ASUS Dual.
These are the babies.
Well, no, there's actually a baby even smaller than this. But
we're down now. We've chopped off almost 4 inches from the Strix. Right, so this is a much more compact.
Again, you're not comparing apples to apples. This is a 3050.
Okay, true.
So but if you compare apples to apples, if you look at like the 3060 Dual and the 3060, the 3060 Strix is still going to be shortening it. But so this is actually going to be a similar size to the KO, although I don't believe it's quite as thick. So again, you can fit this into slightly smaller spaces. The other real benefit to the Dual cards is that they're going to be lower cost because they're kind of just the essentials, right? You get this solid, thick heatsink with 2 really good dual fans, but you don't get the giant triple fan heatsink that you do with Strix. You don't always get the dual BIOS switch. Some of them have dual BIOS switches, some of them don't. You don't get the fan connect headers, as far as I know. You don't get the RGB. You get this. You do get this little strip of lighting that actually is pretty cool looking, but you don't have all of this RGB that you have on these other cards. So it is a bit more kind of stripped down, like essentials compared to the Strix cards. And if you're on a really tight budget or you're building in a really small case or something like that, this card is great. I've owned actually 2 dual cards in the past, and they're great, but I'm going to go Strix for the rest of my life.
379 like
that good. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm talking the 3050 right here for 379 is pretty solid, especially if you're gaming at 1080. You've got DLSS support, you've got some RTX action going on there, you've got support for NVIDIA image scaling with HDR and things, all the things that the Turing and Ampere generations get you in this compact, affordable card. And that's killer. The draw here is strong. If you can't quite swing the Strix card, if you're going for a lower end card where maybe Strix isn't offered, like we don't make it. Or actually, we do make a Strix 3050, don't we? We make a Strix 3050, I believe. Yeah. And it's, It's a big triple fanboy.
You'll never have a
3050 OC edition. That thing is gonna stay cool like nobody's business. A 3050 with a giant triple fan.
How much does that cost?
I don't actually know. I don't think that one's in stock right now, but I could be wrong.
$493? Yeah, $493.
I mean, like I said, worth every penny. It's like $100 more than the Dual. I would do it.
Sold by Newegg, Strix 3050, actually $429. Not bad.
Oh, that's actually, that's great.
That's not that much more expensive.
I mean, I know it's a tough decision, though, because at that point, you're talking about enough of a difference where it's like, well, at that point, could I jump up to a 3060?
Right. And I think if you can, you should kind of deal.
Yeah, if you're talking about the difference between a 3050 and a 3060, I think it's maybe worth going for the better GPU. But now if you're talking about like a Strix 3070 versus, a lesser, I don't think we make a dual fan 3070 Ti, but if you're talking about like a 3070 Ti or a 3080 that only has 2 fans versus a Strix 3070, I would go with the Strix 3070 personally, because it's not just about how many frames you get, it's also about the overall experience, and the overall experience includes noise and thermals, the fan connect headers, all of those extra features. And frankly, I'm shallow and I want the sweet RGB.
So
sorry,
we had a configuration question that I think we missed. So what about having more RAM and using a 3060 instead of using less RAM in a 3060 Ti?
You mean VRAM?
I believe we're talking about system RAM.
Oh, sorry. There was a question in chat.
Yeah, it was a question.
Oh, so they're on a fixed budget and they're saying, should I buy more RAM or should I get a better card? Yes. How much RAM are we talking?
What is the difference in RAM we're looking at for the budget? Yeah,
there were no numbers, but I'm going to guess 16 or over 16.
16 is a minimum. And
I would go with 16.
Yeah,
for sure.
There are games, but they're niche that want 32.
But you're still probably going to get more bang for your buck with a better GPU.
I would agree. Yeah, 16.
I have 32 in my system. I don't use more than 16 very often. And when I do, it's because I'm like doing Photoshop and just have left like a ton of apps open. But if you're just gaming, 16 is going to be fine. And here's the other thing. With 16 gigs of RAM, you can easily upgrade to 32 down the line without having to sell your existing sticks of RAM. You can't upgrade your GPU down the line without selling that GPU at a loss, right? So you can stick with 16 now because 16 is fine now. And when you go to upgrade to 32, when you need it, RAM will be cheaper.
So we should briefly talk, because we see a comment saying that you can always add more RAM in. We should clarify that you should ideally not just add additional sticks of RAM, right?
You want 2 sticks is better than 4 if you want to run it at higher speeds.
But RAM are built as a kit, right? So adding in, even if you buy the same exact brand of RAM, it's not ideal. So say you buy a 32 pack of RAM and you plug it in, and then 6 months later you buy another 32 that's the same brand, same type of RAM. They're not necessarily paired.
They're not guaranteed to work at the higher speeds.
Right.
They're guaranteed to work at the default speeds of your motherboard.
Yeah.
For whatever that generation is. And so you'll still get that extra capacity, but you may have to dial down the speeds. I actually got really lucky with my 2 kits.
Yeah.
So you can get lucky, but it's not always guaranteed.
But ideally, if you want to have 64 as your end game, if you want to have 32 as your end game, always try to,
try to fit it into your budget.
Yeah.
But that is an advantage that RAM has that GPUs don't if you're on a tight budget.
True.
And so for that reason, and especially because if you're going to be, it depends also if you think you're going to be CPU or GPU bound in those games, right? Because those higher RAM speeds may not make a huge difference if you're playing it at high resolutions where the RAM and CPU speeds aren't going to affect your frame rate as much as the GPU. Yeah. So that's just, as a Grim Reaper says, would you recommend waiting for the next gen GPU or get the current ones? I honestly was going to wait for the next gen, and then I caved, and I bought this gen, and here's why.
Well, you go ahead.
I don't know anything about what the next gen is going to be like. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to be readily available the way that GPUs are right now. I think a lot of people are kind of banking on things only getting better. But look, You don't know if crypto's going to take another
it's
boost.
It's impossible to guess.
You don't know.
Nobody
thought this was going to happen.
Yeah, no, it's impossible to guess, and it feels like a gamble. The thing is, right now, it's the first time in almost 2 years where GPUs are actively available, and we don't even know if this is going to last. So when the 40 series comes out, it doesn't just mean that like, hey, production's just fixed itself. Like, no, there is actually a limited amount of production, a finite amount of production that can happen, right? It's not artificial, it's a real thing. So when the 40 series comes out, we inevitable it's going to happen.
Assuming it's called 40 series, we don't actually know.
Yeah, that's what everyone's, all the speculation. We're reading
could
the same.
Could be the NVIDIA ZTX series.
Yes,
Who knows?
It could be anything. We read the same speculation that you guys read. We assume the same things that you guys read. We're not insiders in that regard. We just get to work with these specific cards directly.
They tell me before they come out.
Exactly. When they're available, they're available. Anyways, we don't know anything about like how much better they're going to be and what the availability is going to be like. So, but what we do know is how good the existing cards are and where the prices are, and now we have availability for them. But we do have one more we got to look at. This is
the Phoenix. This is the tiny boy. Now you guys can say that this GPU is tiny because this GPU is freaking tiny.
It looks like a fish or something. Like, what is this?
It's amazing. This will fit in like any case. Okay, this is a tiny one fan
fit in my pocket.
3060. I know. And so this is if you have the pushing the boundaries of mini ITX tiny case, or maybe if you're like trying to slot it into like a, I don't know, like an old Dell Optiplex or something like that. Like people are turning those into gaming PCs. Like this will fit in
the ultimate sleeper PC.
Dude, I mean, hey, it's the best way to get a super budget gaming PC is to get a card like this, bop it in an Optiplex you got on Craigslist. Yeah, it's cool.
Yep.
But again, if you can fit the dual or the KO in your ITX build, those are going to provide a bigger heatsink with dual fans. Those are going to be better for noise levels. But if you don't care about noise levels, or you don't, if it's just like you just need something, if those cards won't fit, this is perfect. I can't believe this thing exists. I love how small this is for a 30 freaking CC.
These are great. Like if all you need is like an HT-PC that can decode or encode, that would be fantastic. I would put that in a larger case, just for the sake of not needing more power. It might only need that big of a cooler.
Yep. Oh, so sorry to finish answering our chatter's question. We've seen every time that NVIDIA or AMD or whoever launches a new generation of cards, it's a little bit tough to get them right when they come out, even in the best of times. So, you think 40 series might come in September, but if you're looking for like a 4060 level card, that might not come out until later, and then you gotta wait. So that is
a good point.
My advice has always been, if you're waiting for the next best thing, you will always be waiting.
Yeah.
Because there's always something new around the corner, right?
Right.
You say, okay, should I get the 4080 or should I wait for the 4080 Ti? Like you're always going to be waiting for something. And frankly, I realized that for my needs, why would I wait for another? Like if you're not buying the absolute top end card, which by the way, 3090 Ti is a brand new card, and that is the top.
We haven't even talked about that today, but yeah, that's
next. Like we have a brand new top end card that you can get right now, and if you're not buying that, then you're just talking about. You're just kind of waiting for something that's maybe in the price range that you want for a certain power level, but that's no guarantee in kind of this field. So when I saw that a 3060 Ti KO was available on Newegg, I jumped on it because that's going to fit my needs for years to come, and there was no reason to wait. It just didn't make sense to me.
Should I be getting?
I bought a 2060 Super right before the 30 series launched because I needed one for work, and I was like, man, I'm gonna regret this because the new series. I didn't regret anything because you couldn't buy a 30 series for like a year. So clearly, I laughed all the way to the frame rate bank.
Generally with tech, yeah, you want to get what you need at the time that you need it. Don't try and make predictions and play the market.
I think we've learned that doesn't work. Granted, I'm hoping. I mean, I'm still hoping for the best, right? We're all hoping for the best. Sure. I hope that the next series of GPUs is going to be baller, and I hope it's going to be available and affordable for everyone.
Heck yeah!
But did I need to wait? for the resolution and frame rate and the games that I'm playing? Like, no, I didn't. So I just bought one because they're available at a decent price. And now I'm going to be much happier for the next year than I would have been running a very old 1070 that I was still trying to push on this system.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the 3090 Ti real quick. I believe I sent you a link. Yeah, we got an LC version of this bad boy.
Out of stock, but
this is out of stock right now, unfortunately. I was trying to we're trying to show off mostly things that are in stock today, but because the 30 Ti is brand new, we had to talk about it.
I mean, based on past generations of basically NVIDIA GPUs, this should be it. This should be the king. This should be the end. They might do a 3090 Ti Super theoretically. I mean, like we don't know.
For the sake of naming conventions, I hope they don't do that.
We don't know, but we can't say that. We can't say with full certainty that this is going to be the top dog. But based on past generations, this should be the king of the 30.
This is the king of. Yeah, I mean, this is the king of all graphics cards right now.
Yeah.
And this is the liquid-cooled Strix version. So it also is the king of RGB and the king of noise temperatures. So, if you want the absolute best of the best, this is it. I'm going to give some branding advice to NVIDIA. Please don't call it the 3090 Ti Super. Yeah, please call it the 3090 Super Ti.
Ultra Plus Edition.
No, the Super Ti. Because that actually sounds awesome. That sounds like a superhero or something.
It sounds like he should be working in Men's Warehouse.
Or no, that's if you call it the 3090 Super Tie.
Wait.
It's a Super Tie.
NVIDIA.
It's better than a Power Tie. It's a Super Tie.
I've got some marketing for you. Get a deal with My Hero Academia and call it the 3090 Ti Plus Ultra. Then you're set, right? Done.
I almost understood that reference.
It generates frames based on the power of friendship and will.
We also have a tough 3090 Ti. If you don't want the liquid cooling, there is a tough 3090 Ti as well with that sweet triple fan heatsink.
We do have Gundam Edition 3080s. I don't know if they're still available though.
Yeah. So here's kind of the caveat to a lot of this. We're seeing availability jump a lot. Go out and get what you want. If it's not in stock yet, monitor it because hopefully you'll see it pop up. The KO, the Phoenix, and like some of the white Strix cards and stuff like that are still going to be a little bit tougher to find because even like in normal times, right? We don't make as many of those. Those aren't I think as high of a demand probably as the Strix and Tough. So
right.
Don't get discouraged if you can't find like some of the rarer cards. But again, I think those are kind of more for niche builds. Even though, man, where's my KO? I wanted to get here so I can unbox it on stream. I'm mad.
Too bad.
I know.
You have to hold it till next week's Pulse. Can't open it till then.
Oh, now it's saying it's not coming until 7 p.m. So we'll have to do a setup. We did a setup tour of Jake's studio a few weeks ago. Once I get my new card installed, my whole setup.
Oh, nice.
And we can do a tour of
my. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Because you've got the home theater in your office plus your gaming. It's a little bit different. Yeah,
I got two gaming setups. I got the desk gaming setup and the couch gaming setup in the same room. Yeah. Guys, I am posting a link in the chat. If you are searching through all of these wonderfully in-stock graphics cards, but you're not sure whether to go Strix or Tough or Dual or whatever, here is a full guide that explains the features and kind of tiers of clock speeds and cooling and things like that of all of our product lines. I wish I had this when I bought my last graphics card, so I wrote it for when I bought this graphics card. I was like, people need this, so I wrote it.
There's where to buy links, direct links for at least US and Canada, I believe, and
for a bunch of different cards. But obviously, because there's like so many different, variations of every card, we don't have where to buy links for everything in there, but you can go search. Just remember to tick that sold by Newegg or sold by Amazon or whatever box. Look at your local shops like Micro Center. There are cards just sitting on shelves. And I also know, I know we didn't talk about a lot of AMD cards today, but there are also plenty of AMD cards in stock as well. If you want to grab like a 6700 XT, go grab it. I'm pretty excited about some of the tech that AMD has coming down the pipe too. I think FSR 2.0 is going to be awesome, particularly as a driver level option that you can upscale any game at the driver level with a temporal solution. That's pretty exciting. It almost tempted me to grab like a 6600 XT or a 6700 XT. Any ROG external GPUs other than the one for the Flow?
Nope.
No.
Not currently.
Not at this moment.
XG
but
Mobile,
you can get one of our GPUs and put it in an external enclosure.
That's true. But yeah, the XG Mobile is the one and only works with the X13 and the Z13.
But it's also way smaller than your typical external GPU. There's kind of a reason that we did it that way. We wanted it to be something that if you wanted to, you could bring it with you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not going to bring it with you to Starbucks. I mean, you could. I've seen people bring iMacs to Starbucks, but why would you? You could bring that with you like on vacation or something much easier than you could a typical external GPU. And so we wanted to make something that was kind of like the whole experience, right? You get this ultra thin laptop with this ultra thin eGPU that has the power of a 3080 laptop GPU in it, but is extra portable. Why the sudden availability of cards? A few cargo ships finally get unloaded. All these cargo ships were actually just stuck in my backyard, and I was trying to herd them out, but it was like herding cattle.
Customs was just tough.
No, I think things are just, the supply chain is finally starting to loosen up a little bit. With the end of the tariffs, prices, we're able to drop prices a little bit because we're not paying some of those tariffs that we had to in the U.S. There are a lot of things that kind of go into whether stuff is available. And it's rather complicated, but that is it's happening now. And like I said, if what you want isn't available right now, monitor it, because hopefully it will be soon. I've seen a lot of stuff come in and out. And monitor the search page, because you never know if like an open box model is going to come in. My 3060 Ti was open box. The 3060 Ti was still sold out, but someone who bought one like last week or whatever returned it, and I was able to snatch it up for a small discount. What would you recommend for a single slot troubleshooting video card? This is going to go against probably what I'm paid to say on this channel, but whatever, like get like a GT 1030 on Craigslist or whatever.
Yeah, they make like a 730 that might even be cheaper. Like
literally the cheapest thing you can find on Craigslist that fits into the proper PCI slot is what I would recommend for that. Yeah. Unless you're talking about like troubleshooting games, in which case you would need something, like a 3050 or something like that. But like if you're just trying to figure out like, okay, is my monitor flickering because of like driver issues or a monitor issue, or is it flickering because of the GPU? Literally get the cheapest thing you can find on Craigslist
and keep it around forever.
Go to the e-waste center. You can find one for like $25.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not gonna be that guy that's like, go buy a 3070 Ti Strix for trouble. Like, sorry, my boss is asleep. He won't hear me say that, hopefully. But yeah,
having a troubleshooting
cards is different than my recommendation for gaming. Go figure.
Awesome. I've had so many issues that I've been able to catch from just having 3 GPUs in a 2-person household. It's been fantastic.
Dude, I mean, so speaking of like the bundles that are available on Newegg right now, when I got my 3070 Ti, it came in a bundle with a power supply, a tough power supply. And at first I thought like, oh, I'll just sell that tough power supply and try and make up some of the cost of the bundle. And then I was like, you know what? Nope. I'm keeping that power supply. That's going to be my troubleshooting power supply, because the number of times that I've run into an issue that's hard to nail down. Oh, that was a really close. That was
close. Yeah.
The number of times I've run into an issue that's really hard to nail down, and you want to just like see if it's your power supply, is too many to not have one sitting around in my house. So yeah, I kept that power supply for troubleshooting. And so, you know what? Those bundles, they're useful.
Wow. So many people died in that one. That was brutal, but GG.
Someone asked what 3070 Ti's go for now.
1,000-ish probably.
Yeah, I think we were looking at the tough model was 1,000.
Yeah, I thought that was the
There's an open box Strix for 1,000 on Newegg right now. Go grab it.
That's power play right there.
Go grab it.
That's really good.
I don't see the tough one we were looking at earlier. Those ones might only be in bundles.
The tough one?
Or someone might have grabbed the last one during this stream.
Let me refresh it and see if it's still there. I'm gonna link it in chat. This is a Strix 3070 Ti for $1,000. Not open box, I don't think. I'll link it in chat.
The one I was looking at was open box.
Well, the one that should be, that's $999. I mean, I literally can show it on stream.
Yeah, there you go.
Hold on. I gotta log the marbles race before I close marbles. I don't want to forget.
Oh, you're right. This is not open box. Yeah, there you go.
That's,
oh no, it's open box. I see it. It's small letters below the thing.
Open box. It does say open box. Okay.
But I mean, look, I like open box stuff. You get a small discount, or in this case, you get availability.
That's a good price.
And I mean, yeah, it is for a Strix.
Yeah, for a Strix.
Because remember, the Strix cards are more expensive than like the Founders Edition. So don't look at the Founders Edition MSRP because we put big honking coolers with big honking overclocks on those Strix cards. So there's a reason that they're a little bit more expensive and they're worth every penny. I really can't stress that enough. I love my Strix card.
So this is an open box tough 3080 for $1,189.
That's pretty good too.
Is that a 10 or a 12 gig?
Oh, I forgot there were 10 and 12 gigs. Yeah, check the
VRAM.
If you're playing it like 4K or whatever, check the VRAM when you're buying.
That's a really good price for a 12 gig.
$1,189. I can plop that in chat too.
You guys, like, it's crazy because like we haven't seen prices like this in so long. These things were going for like more than double their MSRP not that long ago. This is just insane to see this. I know some people are a little bit nervous about open box. I love open box. If you're nervous, videotape yourself opening it or whatever. You always have chargebacks on your credit card if some retailer tries to pull a fast one on you. But I've been doing open box stuff for years and I've never had a problem. This TV I bought, they pulled it off the wall for me at Best Buy. It was their last model. I got it for like half price and it's incredible. If you want only 1080p, what's the best card you should aim for? 1080p for like higher settings, I'd probably go for a 3060.
Yeah,
3060.
Higher. I mean, it depends on I mentioned frame rate too. If you want 1080p 60, like 3060 is going to be dope. If you want 1080p 120, a 3060 Ti or a 3070 is going to be going for a long time.
3060 would probably handle a lot of games. It depends on what games you're wanting to play, right?
Yes.
So if you're grinding 1080p, League of Legends, then you need a 3060 is fine. Those games, those popular like multiplayer games are fine. If you're trying to play like what just came out, Ghostwire Tokyo, for example. You're gonna, if you're trying to hit
that at 120.
Yeah, that'd be pretty rough to hit 120 probably with a 3060 at 1080. I don't know.
And not only are you gonna want maybe a better card for some of those games, but you're also gonna want a VRR capable monitor. You're gonna want a monitor with FreeSync or G-Sync because once you get to those higher frame rates, especially in those graphically intensive games, you're not going to stay at 120 or 144. It's going to jump around a little bit as you go through different scenes, and that VRR is crucial for high frame rates.
So the TechSpot 14 game average for a 3060 at 1080p is 116 average FPS. So it's right in the ballpark of like 120 at 1080p across 14 games. So yeah, I would definitely say 3060. 3060 Ti if you're looking to hit like 144 or 1440p resolutions.
Yeah, and again, not Miss Sheldon is saying I can get 120 at 1440 with a 3060 Ti. Yeah, but it depends on the game. The difference between like Fortnite and like Apex or whatever is huge when you're comparing it to games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla or Cyberpunk or whatever. Cyberpunk might be a bad example, but because it's like very, very demanding. Or like Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe.
Red Dead Redemption.
Red Dead is also really, really taxing. That might be more of an outlier, but
yeah.
So sorry, X Milky Ice is asking, should you log into Games Planet with ROG or create a Games Planet account? I think you have to do both. I think it's a little bit weirdly worded. So like I created a Games Planet account, and then when you log in with ROG, it connects your ROG account to an existing Games Planet account. So you should be fine to create an account on there and then link it. And that's how you get that ROG discount on gamesplanet.com. 1080p 60 frames per second makes me happy. Yeah, that 3060
It'll
It's going to be awesome. Although 3060 Ti will last you a little bit longer.
Yeah. You'll be set. You'll be set for that kind of gaming.
Yeah,
although
you really will.
Get a 144 hertz display. Your life will change. It's such a game changer. It really,
really is. I still play at 60 hertz on my TV, but when I'm here and I'm playing, especially like fast-paced first-person shooters or stuff like that, even 144 hertz now, I'm kind of like, oh, I wish this was 240.
Well, I haven't been. I'm not at that point. I haven't been spoiled. I've actually never had a 240 hertz desktop display. I've had laptops.
We got to send you the new PG-27.
We'll get there,
dude.
But
I want to see it so bad.
This is my first like proper gaming monitor that I spent a little bit on. It was probably around $270 when I bought it. And that's a 144 hertz 1080p display.
I mean, 144 hertz is awesome.
I love that. I don't know the model number. I bought that panel probably 6 years ago, maybe longer. I don't know, but it's awesome. I just remember that's such a game changer for me. But anyways,
it really is.
We are running out of time because I got to roll into a meeting soon. So
meetings.
I know, right?
You don't just play video games all day?
I wish. Sometimes I do.
Mostly.
When I stream.
Mostly. Any thoughts on AMD cards? Specific AMD cards? AMD cards are great.
I've never used one personally. I'm a completely reliant on NVENC encoding, and when AMD
that's fair
gets streaming utility like that, then I'll consider their graphics
if
cards.
You're streaming.
But as a streamer, I really do think NVIDIA is the one and only choice because of how useful NVENC encoding is. And it's not that you can't use H.264 encoding with a CPU. You can. It just depends on the game. Some games use a lot of CPU, some games use a lot of GPU. Sometimes it's better to use that VRAM for the encoding on your GPU. NVENC encoding looks really good. It handles high refresh rate FPS better than a lot of games, but sometimes it's worse. And streaming is not a linear thing. It's not a one setting fits everything kind of thing. It really isn't. When you play, if you stream a lot of different games, you have to adjust those settings for everything. So,
But if you're not streaming, AMD cards are great. And it really depends on what price tier you're looking at. Compare the most similar AMD card to the most similar NVIDIA card. Look at benchmarks. Some AMD cards may perform better than similarly priced NVIDIA counterparts or vice versa. It really just depends on kind of where you are in the market at that point. And it depends on the features you want. So like Jake said, NVIDIA has NVENC for streaming. Must have. If you're looking at upscaling, if you're on a 1440p monitor, but you're playing at 1080, DLSS is amazing. FSR 2.0 coming out is going to be available at the driver level. So are you playing games that have DLSS in them already, or are you playing games that don't have upscaling technology and you want to be able to enable that FSR? That honestly was it. I was looking at AMD GPUs pretty seriously for that reason. It's you got to look at the features you want and the performance. And both companies have great options, and you can find Strix and Tough and all the cards we talked about today on all kinds of GPUs from both GPU manufacturers.
It's fun to just kind of look at the ecosystem and say that there's a foreseeable future where we could realistically be looking at Intel GPUs, NVIDIA CPUs.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
You could do the reverse build. You could have a
NVIDIA
CPU and an Intel GPU.
Or NVIDIA CPU and
two more questions from chat, and then I promise we'll leave. Ruin or Rook. I know NVIDIA cards also have their own upscaling in the driver, but AMD's FSR 2.0 is going to be a temporal solution, kind of like DLSS. So if you're enabling it, if it's built into the game, NVIDIA has the best option right now. If you're enabling it at the driver level, the upcoming FSR 2.0 is going to be very, very compelling compared to NVIDIA's in-driver solution. So it's really it's what games you play at any given moment. Second question, will ROG ARGB fans be sold in the future? I can't answer that, but I can tell you we have tough ARGB fans that are awesome. You can easily grab those. You can sync them with Aura Sync. They're going to look great. And when they're spinning, you can't tell whether it's the ROG or Tough logo anyway. Don't tell my boss I said that. But right now, we only sell the Tough ARGB fans separately.
I'm just going to remind you
Those just came out.
That we have a call with your boss tonight, and I'm going to tell him all these things.
Well, nice knowing you guys. I'm going to get fired. Just kidding. We're all one big happy family here at ASUS. All these cards are amazing. Yeah. Go buy what fits your budget and your needs and your bombastic style.
Yeah,
You can't go too wrong.
it's a good time to be a PC gamer because now's the time where you can actually buy a
I'm sorry,
GPU.
every time is a good time to be a PC
But-
gamer because you always have that air of superiority over everyone around you that just you can't
it's
buy
easier
that.
to theory craft because now it isn't just your imagination.
But I've got friends that were painfully trying to buy GPUs for like a year. So that was maybe a hard time to be a PC gamer for like the first time ever, where it's just like, wow, this is actually rough. But we're there. We're good. And it's onwards and upwards, hopefully from here on out. Guys, that's going to conclude it here for RG Pulse. If you want to see more content tomorrow, I'm going to continue playing Elden Ring. I'm getting really close. I'm starting to get my butt handed to me by more just regular enemies, which is fun.
And the game is tough, I hear.
Yeah, it's getting harder. It definitely
It's known
is.
for its difficulty.
And it's we're in a snow area. I'll say that. It's fun. It's very fun. More content to be had. But we'll see. I don't think I'll beat it tomorrow, but who knows? Tune in 3 p.m. Eastern. Elden Ring, twitch.tv/ASUS ROG. We'll see you then. Lane, we didn't let you talk enough today. Because
I tried. I did my best.
I know. I'm sorry. But thank you for joining. Thank you everyone for
Absolutely.
tuning
Thanks
in.
for having me.
Peace.